Yo, guys, welcome back to the Big Three podcast. My name is Luke. This is Alex and Oliver. Once again, I want to say a massive thank you for all the support and feedback we received. We massively appreciate it. Keep it coming. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, comment, and subscribe. So let's get right into it.
So the Lakers played the Nets last night, and the Nets came out on top 109 to 98. LeBron dropping 33 and James Harden with a double-double. Do you think we should take this matchup seriously, considering that KD and AD didn't play? Or what do you take from this?
Well, I definitely think that's a potential finals matchup. Obviously, not with the starting fives they had out yesterday, but personally, I don't think we should take too much from that game. Obviously, the Lakers had Anthony Davis out, although Kuzma had a great performance filling in for him, I thought. And the Nets without Kevin Durant obviously completely changes their playing style. So I think in what was a good win for Brooklyn, I think it's good for them to know they can go and beat teams like the Lakers, albeit not at full strength, but it's definitely good for them. And for Harden and Kyrie to put up performances they did as well. I think that will really lift the Brooklyn Nets team. Definitely a good win for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the one thing I would say, I think there are a few things that we can take from that. I think we obviously know from the start that the Nets were obviously going to score a lot of points, but they were going to maybe also give up a lot of points. But in the third quarter alone, they forced 9 turnovers from the Lakers. So you're seeing they're clamping up. I thought 2 other guys that I'd mentioned, Luawi Cabarro, 5 of 8 from 3-point. Joe Harris, 6 from 7 from 3-point. So I think, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really starting to see this team slowly develop. James Harden is on 50, 40, 90 now. I think they're just getting better and better, and they're really showing that it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, no, what I love about Brooklyn is that the role players know their roles, right? They don't try and be the superstars. They don't try and take over games. They get what they're given in the offensive system, and they use it. Joe Harris and Luawi Cabarro, as you said, brilliant shooting performances. And that's not just last night. They've done it all season. So I think, yeah, Brooklyn are looking scary, if I'm going to be honest. They're looking really good. So obviously, after Oliver highlighted the defense of the Brooklyn Nets last night, I felt it was only right to talk about the defense of the Toronto Raptors, holding the Milwaukee Bucks to under 100 points, playing their small ball lineup, beating them 110 to 96. We'll get on to the Raptors. I just wanted to ask you guys, what do you think is wrong with the Milwaukee Bucks right now? They've dropped 5 straight. Lots of problems with that roster. I've highlighted 3 ones. I think it's Coach Budenholzer. His lack of adjustments in game are just really bad for an elite level coach with a player like Giannis who you can build around. Drew Holiday's been out for a while under COVID-19 safety protocols. And whenever they have a big game, Chris Middleton doesn't step up. 11 turnovers over the 2 games against Toronto. I wanted to know what you guys think the problem is with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Well, you mentioned some key points there. I think one that sort of hasn't been mentioned is they've also not been shooting the 3 ball amazingly, specifically off the bench. None of their bench players got over 10 points last night. They shot 29% from 3. Yeah, I don't know what. I know you referenced Coach Bud, but yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm not really sure what he's sort of trying to do at the moment. I mean, they keep getting shut out by teams that are playing pretty simple schemes, as you said. The Raptors just build that wall up, and it seemed to completely squash any offense they had.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game last night, and it was around the 4th quarter, the 6-minute mark. Milwaukee were making a brief run, right? It got to 9 points. Budenholzer called a timeout and took Giannis out. The Raptors score on the next 3 possessions, and then that's pretty much game over. Alex, do you think Milwaukee can get anywhere with Budenholzer as coach?
I don't see him making out the East with Budenholzer as coach. I mean, the last 5 games, I don't think it was even their offense. They've had the last night was a poor shooting night for them, but it hasn't even been their offense. They've been letting a lot of points. They've scored, I think, once under 100 over the past 5 games they've lost, but it's the defense. They're letting in a lot of points. Honestly, I haven't been watching them, so I don't know what's going wrong, but there's something on the defensive end that isn't going well at the moment.
Yeah, well, traditionally, Milwaukee, who have had the best defense in the league past few years, has been about having those bigs guard the paint. Lopez, Giannis, they had Ilyasova a couple seasons. Just having big bodies in there so no one can drive in, forcing them to shoot. Last night, playing small balls, the Raptors did, and forcing Brook Lopez out the paint, that just completely messed up their scheme. You had Siakam driving in, Van Vliet, Norman Powell, and they were just getting what they wanted at will. And I think that's a real problem for the Bucks because I think they had a terrible, terrible offseason. Apart from the Drew Holiday deal, they didn't bring anyone in of any real note. They lost Wesley Matthews too, which was a big, big loss. I think Giannis especially must really look at that deal he signed and think, maybe I jumped the gun and should have waited a year because they are not looking good right now. And nor is he in the clutch either. So following his 7th All-Star selection last night, Stephen Curry has been the talk of the basketball world this week after his 2 clutch shots against the Miami Heat. Obviously, a lot of chat about Steph has led to the question, is he the greatest point guard of all time? So I thought we could have a debate about this. Oliver, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
As much as I love Stephen Curry, man, I do not think he's the greatest of all time. No.
Okay.
And to be honest, I don't really see him becoming the greatest, even though he obviously has several years left in the tank. I feel like he'd have to win 2 more championships for me to consider it.
2?
Genuinely. And you know who I'm going to say?
I'm pretty sure I know, yeah.
Yeah? Well, I'll say it. Magic Johnson.
Okay, I mean, obviously,
let me just remind you.
You go for it.
5 times champion.
Yeah.
NBA champion, yeah? All in 1 decade. 3 times finals MVP, 3 times MVP, 12-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA. And he got all rookie first team, I'm pretty sure. An all rookie team.
Yeah, listen.
That guy's a machine and he's got a legacy.
Magic Johnson's achievements are unquestionable. I'm just going to list some of Stephen Curry's, 3-time NBA champion, 2nd all-time in 3-pointers made behind Ray Allen, which he will likely go on to surpass. 2-time NBA MVP, the only unanimous MVP in NBA history. 7-time All-Star, as I mentioned. 6-time All-NBA, 3-time first team, All-Rookie first team, amongst other scoring leaders, steal leaders, etc. I don't think he's there yet. I agree. But I think with 2 or 3 more years playing at the same level he is and the stats he'll accumulate, I think Stephen Curry will end up being the best point guard to play the game of basketball. And he has changed the game of basketball in a way Magic Johnson didn't. And I think that's undeniable too. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Steph gets disrespected too much. I feel that you may not say he is now, but I definitely do believe if he has like an MVP, I don't see Warriors going to the finals anytime soon. But I feel that if even just him adding another MVP, that will cement him as being the best point guard in the league. I mean, this is a player who has revolutionized the modern game. He's a player who attracts so much defensive attention that it leads basically to his team going 4-3 most of the time. I mean, you look at the 2015 finals where personally I feel he got robbed of that finals MVP by Iggy. He was trapped every time. You see they run their pick and roll play with the Warriors. Every time he's gone around the screener, the Cavs chose to double. And so it's try to trap him. And every time that happened, he would have to pass it off over these massive defenders. And you're forgetting that Steph is 6'3". And it just generated open looks. And you got players like Iggy, of course, who benefited off that massively. And he said it himself. He said, without Steph, without Steph, they wouldn't win. But he was so instrumental to their game that year. I also feel that when Steph has a bad game, you hear about it a lot. I mean, generally, people who shoot more, they'll have a bad night every now and then. And also the fact that they shoot more and people remember that more than, let's say you drive to the rim and you miss. I think people will remember people shooting bad more. And I just feel that that's really added to this outlook on Steph as not being one of the best players of this decade, personally.
For sure. I mean, I think we've got to remember Magic Johnson had a lot of flaws in his game that weren't able to be amplified due to the rules of the NBA at the time. right? The rules in terms of doubling and zoning. The fact is, defenses can throw whatever they want at Steph Curry, and they do. And he still overcomes it and drops monster stat lines, helps his teammates. I mean, he's averaging 30 on the season, being trapped every time he crosses half court. It's just phenomenal, I think.
In response to what you said, I think there's a sort of slightly different definition of how we go about these things, because I read something earlier about the difference between the GOAT and the greatest basketball player of all time, and comparing Jordan and LeBron, which I don't think makes sense, because apparently when he was talking about the GOAT, he's taking in the icon that he was, the influence that he had, the way he changed the game. But let's just sort of knuckle down on how good these players were and how much they actually did. And even though, yes, Steph has revolutionized the game with the 3-ball, I don't think that that's used in his, when we're talking about who was the best point guard of all time. I'm not talking about the agenda outside of basketball or even how it shifted. I'm talking about what they did in their limited amount of time in the NBA and how they put their mark on history. And I just think Magic Johnson did that considerably more than Steph has. And even if he did another MVP, it doesn't come close for me.
I think Magic's stature off the court really did enhance his legacy too. The fact he was such a
don't get me wrong. That's I get that, yeah.
So I don't think we can, when talking about it, so you're saying purely by skill set
away for both of them, yeah.
So if they were both just on a random NBA, if they're both just on a random court anywhere and you were just watching them play, who is the better player? If you're just literally bringing it down to the pure skill set.
We could say, yeah, but the thing is, you could say that about lots of players who never became or sort of had the chance to get a legacy. So it's not just about skill set, it's also about what they did with their team, what they accomplished, and ultimately that's how we define success. We don't just base it off pure raw skill set, because we've never seen someone with a skill set like Curry.
Okay, well, I'll say, Steph took his team to 5 straight finals, won 3 of them, didn't win the finals MVP, but I get what you're saying. I think it's gonna, but I think Steph is gonna overtake him. I think with what happens in the next 2 or 3 years, but this we'll have to see. So that concludes episode 7 of the Big 3 podcast. I want to say a massive thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, comment if you disagree or agree with anything we've said, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.
Yes, sir.